2 years, and in Iran for another 2 years. And so actually some of that brass and copper, some came from Iran and some from Turkey. And of course I could probably have brought more, but it was too much to carry. But anyway, I'm going to try and take you on a little tour down the turquoise coast, all the way to ancient Antioch of the Bible. And we're going to visit Mary's house, and also in Ephesus, and St. Paul's well in Turkey. He lived there, and he was born there. And his family actually, you know, he enjoyed, he was Jewish, but he enjoyed Roman citizenship, because there was, the Romans had taken over that country. And they were given, the Jews were given, or all people there from Tarsus, that's where he was from, St. Paul. They were given an option that if they wanted to, they could buy the Roman citizenship, you know, when they were born. And so the parents bought the right to have been born as a Roman citizen there in Tarsus, but under Roman rule. And so they bought him a citizenship there, and this is why he had privileges as a Roman citizen that later came in very handy, because he was imprisoned, he became a convert. He was also the one that persecuted the first martyr, the first Christian martyr, and St. Stephen. And but then he converted into Christianity. And so when they tried to imprison him and they were starting to beat him and do this, that, and the other, he says, hey, you can't do this to me. He says, because I am a Roman citizen, and this is not the way you treat Roman citizens. And so, you know, they had to stop. He says, what, you know? And so they went on and checked him out, and they said, well, yeah, that's right. So they just went ahead and he didn't, in the beginning, like, he didn't have to be in prison, but you have to remember that they were in hiding after the crucifixion and ascension of Jesus. They were all in hiding. And the Blessed Mother, St. John, took the Blessed Mother over to Ephesus in fleeing from Jerusalem, and built her a small house up there, and it's on top of a hill, just above the city of Ephesus, and it's kind of high, but it's beautiful. The view out there is beautiful. It was well, we were there from 69 to 71, and so the roads were not the best at that time. Yes, they had good roads, you know, but not, it wasn't the same. There has been a great transition from that time, which is 45 years ago or something like that, to now. And so it's easily accessed. People from all over the world come to visit Mary's house, as well as St. Paul's well, because there's that well in Tarsus of St. Paul's, where he and his family used to go and fetch water, you know, every day. And then we're traveling on to ancient Antioch of the Bible, and that's where the apostles first gathered. They were fleeing. They found a cave in Antioch, and they kind of met there after the crucifixion and ascension. So all Christians were being persecuted at that time, but it was very difficult. So when they gathered to preach the word of God, they had to go into homes in hiding. They had to go into caves, and that's where the catacombs, you know, became popular. And we all know all of this. The reason I'm doing this is just to. It seems like when I was growing up, okay, it took me. I didn't even know that Ephesus, Tarsus, and Antioch were in Turkey. I didn't know it. Neither did my husband. I mean, we went to Catholic schools. It's just that they don't teach that. They don't tell you. Yes, they talk about Ephesus and Tarsus and Antioch and Philippi and Thessalonica and all of those, but they don't tell them, well, look, today, these sites are in Turkey. At that time, it was an entire region. Where Antioch is now, for example, used to be in part of Syria. I mean, now Syria. At that time, it was just something else. I don't remember what that province's name was, but it wasn't Turkey and it wasn't Syria, okay? So the names have changed. So today, we and our children, unless we tell them and educate them about this thing, they don't know, that these things are there. I thought that all these places were just for the Bible, that belong in the Bible, and they were lost. I didn't know. And here I was already, I was in my 40s, I think, or 38 or something like that. It was right after Jolene was only 6 months old. We took our 6 kids, and they were all very young, Jolene being the youngest. And so that's just a quick scenario on it. And so I want to show you some slides. And unfortunately, I don't have that many slides. I thought I had more, and but so many were very dark, and you couldn't even see them or anything. So I just took them out. They were no good. And then what I did instead, I went into our albums and I decided to make some poster boards, and with little, identifying them underneath, and so that as we go along and later, you can ask me questions if you'd like, and then we can come and look over here and tell you. We're going to start here on the slides. This is Mary's house in Panaya Kapalu. Panaya Kapalu is the name of the area that the Greeks and Turks made up. Panaya means the Holy One, and that's Greek. And Kapalu is home, the home, our gateway, but it's, in this case, the home of the Holy One. So Panaya Kapalu is the home of Mary, the Holy One, okay? And they affectionately, the Turkish people love Mary, and they respect Mary as the mother of the prophet Jesus, because they accept him and they have him in the Bible, in their Bible, in the Quran. But they see him only as a prophet like Muhammad. Okay, and so so we're going there. Also, they call it affectionately Mariamana, the Mariamana's Panaya Kapalu. Mariamana is an endearment term for Mary, the Holy One. Okay, and so these are going to be some of the pictures that I can help identify, but you'll see them here first. I don't know how I can do this, but unless I come and go or something like that. But I'll start with are there any questions? Just a quick synopsis, really. But how many of you knew that the last years of her life, Mary spent in Ephesus, and that she was assumed into heaven from there? How many? Show me your hands.
I do.
No?
I do.
You did. You did. Okay. And yeah, because I told you.
Is that where she died?
That's where she died. In fact, I'm going to tell you very quickly, if you all can indulge me. The Blessed Mother, when they call it the Dormition, as we well know from the sermons, they call it the Dormition of Mary. Okay, the locals there, this is very weird, okay? St. John took her there and built her little house, and so she was there. It's a beautiful site. And in fact, it also means the chapel hidden in the mountains. They have that, the chapel hidden in the mountains. That's what the ancients and some of the later on, that's a traditional wording that Mary was there because she was being hidden, see? And Ephesus is down below in about 9 kilometers from there. But anyway, how the discovery of this place took hold was that there was a German nun by the name of Catherine Emmerich. And I have her book here, and it's not actually somebody wrote it, Father Deutsch, Our Lady of Ephesus. And he wrote this on her and how this happened. This Catherine Emmerich was a nun, and a very humble person. I mean, she was a peasant, from what I remember. And so she'd never been out of her home, and she hadn't traveled, and she was in Germany. Well, she used to have visions, and she would see the house of Mary there, and she would see the foundation and walls, and she described this, and she went to her confessor and said, I'm having all these visions, you know, and I don't know, but I need to tell you that I'm being told that if you go to Ephesus, and she described the area and where it would be, that you will find the place where the Blessed Mother lived and died, you know, the last few years of her life. She was there. So, but of course, I mean, you know, things drag and everything, and I mean, well, I mean, is she really, I mean, who wouldn't be skeptical about that? You know, you can understand. So that happened in 1875 or something like that, when she was having those visions. Well, there were two priests, Lazarus, what were they? Franciscan priests that went, that were assigned to go to Izmir, Turkey. This is where we were, where we stayed for 2 years. And they were assigned to go as priests to Izmir, to St. John's, church. So they went, you know, that was with our assignment. And one told the other, says, you know, I read a book about telling us about that Mary's house is supposed to be somewhere out here in the mountains, or near Ephesus. Why don't we go check it out? So they started to do that, and they did go. And eventually, from word of mouth, everybody knew where Mary's house was. And this was in 1902 or something like that, when those priests came. And then, they went up there and they saw ruins, and exactly the way she had described them. And so they started to ask about, they had built a little homes and stuff surrounding the mountain, but those same people there, the Turks and the Greeks, and because the Jews, I mean, there were people from all over there. I mean, you know, when you go to those in Europe, just like in the United States, you know, people came from all over the world. Well, over there you have them living in Turkey, you know, you have Greeks living in Turkey, and you have Turks living in Greece, and I mean, you know, it's like that. So, let's see, where was I? I lost my train of thought. They went and they checked it out and all of that. So she, I was going to tell you something I can't remember. What was the last thing?
They found Ephesus, they found the area where she described it.
Oh, yes. Okay, so once it was there, well, they began to communicate with others and said, hey, you know, there's something here, and we need to look closer into that. And the people there said, oh, yes, we go there all the time, and they showed them and everything. They started eventually to excavate and to look around. Well, they found a statue of Mary, which is this one, okay? and they found it there on the grounds, covered with dirt and all that. But her two hands were missing. They were, you know, the first things to go on any structure, on anything, are the hands. If it's a statue or marble statue or whatever, the first things are the thin things that they're going to fall. Okay, so later on they found the hands. So this is the one that they found out. They don't know how old this is, okay? They're not saying that it was from the beginning, no. But the tradition was there a long, long time ago. And so they have it there, and that's the inside of her rebuilt chapel. It was her home. And then here we are in front of and this is the altar. And I'll tell you more about it as I go. This is outside, but we'll show here. You see these things in here? Okay, these are canes and things that Turks, and the Turks will go over there with their prayer rugs, put them in there, and they pray in front of the altar. You're on the side of the altar. They'll pray to the Blessed Mother, asking her as a holy one, you know, to heal them. And there's also some holy water that runs under her, around there, close to her house. And they ran it to where spigots are coming out. And then you can get holy water. And I have some holy water from there too, right here. And I'll tell you about that later. But anyway, all these things, they would leave their canes there. They would leave their canes. And they're very religious, you know, in their own. I mean, they're faithful to the Quran, but they just accept it because she's in the Quran. You know, Jesus, they're in the Quran. So anyway, that's the other one. And of course, ancient Antioch. And I'll tell you that, I guess, maybe when I'm there, because I have to sit down. But anyway, if you have a car arrived in Turkey, we had to wait for that car for 3 months because there was a strike there when we arrived, and we lived in hotels for 3 months because the strike was against the American, anybody coming in at the docks, and the people, the locals, they wanted more money, and you know, but it was their own people against their own government, against the Turkish local government. And so we went from one place to the other place, and you know, but there was a big strike there. And so we were very happy to receive our household goods, our furniture, our car. And the first place that we went to was to visit Mary Amana's house, Anaya Kapalou, in Ephesus, Turkey. Okay? And we're just going, and I thought, this is the road, so I took a picture in some mountains and then that, okay? Now, I wish that this was darker so you could see. Let's see, a little clearer.
That's it? That's good.
Is
That's
that
good?
better?
Yeah.
That's fine, Mom.
That's fine, Mom.
Yeah, okay. Now, we were on our way there, where we saw this man, this Turk, coming around with the 3 camels. And the camels I said, oh, of course the kids were screaming, oh, let's stop, we want to see the camels. And of course we did, you know, we wanted to see them too. And so we stopped close by, ran to the camels and to the man, and we started, you know, making a big fuss over it. And I'm going to show you another picture here. There he is, by his camels. And anyway, I have this, the camels had some bells on them, but well, the first one, the lead camel, which was this one, had camel bells hanging on his neck, okay? And I thought, and they were making such a beautiful sound, and I said, oh, I just thought I'd just compliment him on it. I said, they're so beautiful, it's wonderful. I said, are they eski? Eski means old? Are they very old? Because, and he says, tamam, which means yes. And I said, oh, honey, I wish I had some. I don't know, we started talking, the kids were jumping up and down, And so, and you can see that's Kimberly, right there. And he walked to his camel, took the camel bells off, and gave them to me. And I thought he just did that so I could have a better, closer look. I said, oh, how pretty. But my husband said, he reached for his wallet. He says, kachpara, which means how much, how much would, do you want for them? I'll buy them, we'll buy them from you. And he says, no. He says, huh? Nist. And they do this. They tilt their head and go, no, it's from my heart. And he went like this, it's from my heart to you. And, how can you insult a person, when I felt very badly, but I mean that he was giving away his camel bells. But eventually as we went on races, this is not for the camel bells, but just for you to go buy yourself some meat. But he did give us some. Well, what happened? This also belonged in here, but they fell off, Roger. But they all, I didn't polish those because they were like this, and that was 46 years ago, and I just clean them, but I don't polish them because just to show you how they were at the time. And so we wound up with this camel bell, and you see a little house over here, this out in the country, and that was just every time that we went to Panayakapalu, which were quite a few times because we were there 2 years, we passed by there, and so it was
Did anyone live in there
a
or not?
landmark. Huh?
Did anyone live in there?
Oh,
just
yeah,
let people go?
that was a fortress. Sometimes,
At some time, yeah.
I imagine some people, have
Not when we were
areas
there.
in there or around there, they're just little towns,
Oh.
tiny little towns, villages rather, Now here is Mary's house. Okay, this is one showing of it is at the entrance. This is Jolene over here, the little one, already demanding. And I want you to notice the trunk of that tree. It's a very, very old olive tree. And they think several centuries old, but they don't know when it was planted there. But however, they say that this could be like sprouts from the old ones and the other ones would fall or whatever, and then, it kept on going. But it's there, and it's very old. You can tell that it is. Okay, now there's Kimi and Jolene and that little Turkish girl. As I say, they all go there. And of course, even at the time, they did have maybe one tour bus or one or two tour buses occasionally. But now it's an everyday thing. They have thousands that go there during the summer, just thousands to visit. This is where the holy water is. And see this, Marian, Anna. See the water, whatever it says there, and then Anna from her well, and from her stream. And they put spigots in all of those, and people will go there with their own bottles, and just fill it up with holy water, take it home until they want to refill them again. I brought one this big. It was a plastic bottle, and it lasted us 40-some years. Well, I still have it, but it was already so silted down below. But any time that any of our kids were sick, or Dad, or me, or anyone in the family, I'd go to that holy water, and right away you sprinkle them. We had Randy, for example, there. It's fine. So the first place we wanted to go was where? This Panayakapalu, Mary Amana's house. So as soon as we got the car, I said, first place we're going is up there, which we did, to give thanks to her for all the blessings and so so on and so forth. Well, in one of our little trips over there, we were walking on the grounds, beautiful grounds, and I was looking and I said, oh yes, the foundation, you know, this is what Catherine Emmerich was describing. I was looking at them, and I saw this one sticking out a little bit, and I said, you know, that thing's gonna fall. It was right there by the foundation. And I said, you know, I looked around, nobody was looking at it. I said, Blessed Mother, forgive me, but I'm gonna take that home. And so I went and I pulled it. This came from her house. on this side, I can tell you exactly where. Yeah, right there.
You want them already?
Yeah, that's our house. Right here. It was right in here, you know, on the side of the, that's the entrance, and then right in here, back there, and that's where it was.
Yeah.
And so, I just feel that because they were on very holy ground that our Blessed Mother, where she lived and where she walked, that this helped a lot with her prayers during their session. And these are the two rocks, okay? But anyway, we saw many miracles in the past 40-some years with our kids on that. So, everybody had incidents and things like that, but those were very major incidents. And over here, we had, okay, let's see. Okay, now this, the people are gathering here. This was going to be Easter Sunday Mass, okay? And there were about 9 or 11 priests, I don't remember right now, but there's a bunch of them, okay? And they came from all over. You can see them here. They put up an altar, makeshift altar out here, and you can see how beautiful it looks in the background. Now behind that, as you go down, there's also, you can see the Mediterranean, and you can see Samos, one of the islands there. And even the apostles, one of the apostles went there and did some preaching there. But you can see it out there. And this was Easter morning. You can see, I just couldn't get enough of those. I just kept on taking pictures. I wanted to capture every moment. And here people are just standing like that. There were not enough seats. I think this is Kimberly right here. Now, here he's going to give Holy Communion. The priest is getting ready for the Holy Eucharist. So, this here is our son Ray. He's the one that passed away some 23, 24 years ago, and he's receiving Holy Communion. And so did the rest of us. But you'll see, well, no, I don't have them, because I can put everything in there, but we all received Holy Communion there. And here's another shot going from this angle. And there's some nuns. Now those sisters may have come from another country visiting, you know, at the time. And here they are. This is another Blessed Mother. You just put her on the grounds here as you go up. And so our 6 kids are there. This is Kimmy, and Randy, Mikey, Jolene, Ray Ray, and Steve. And there's the Blessed Mother by herself. People come and put flowers. In fact, I believe that the first time we went over there, we took her some flowers. That stayed. Put flowers at the altar. And this is inside, and that was restored. And this is now a place of pilgrimage. In 1983, Pope John Paul, no, Pope Paul the second, yes, named it officially, named it, or said that it was a place of pilgrimage and a holy site. However, here, Pope Paul the Sixth came and visited in 1951, and that's when they started to really check it out and everything, and he said it was a very holy site, and after much research and everything, they officially made it in 83, but I believe he proclaimed it in the Marian year, and which was in 1951 or 50, and it was then, and so he went there, celebrated Mass there, and left a very pretty candle. You see it here. See? And he left that there. And suddenly here.
Is that the same one like in the corner?
Yes, whatever you see, this is the ship that we were on. It was called the Iskandera. And it was very fun. It was a lot of fun doing this. And that is the Mediterranean, the part of the Mediterranean. And this over here is Antakya. This is St. Paul's Well. It's not a very clear picture, but there's a very clear pagans there. So now that I'm saying that, before I forget, I'm going to show you something. See this one here? She's a goddess of fertility. Okay, and we saw her at one of the museums there in Selçuk, which is very close by to Ephesus. And they had them all over. And you can see that she has are eggs. She's the sign of fertility. You see? And can you all see? But you can come later and see them, and they're the ones here at the bottom, okay? Anyway, this is what the apostles and all Christians were up against. Because at one time, a lot of these pagans converted to Christianity. And the Jews, remember Jesus was a Jew himself, okay? Mary was a Jew, Joseph was a Jew. But when Jesus was recognized, and he says, God sent me to tell you, I'm his son, and I'm here to tell you that you have salvation, and so on. Can you imagine one man trying to influence millions? Okay? But it did, it survived, and we're still here, right? So, and of course, divided in some ways, but Christian, all right? And that's what they were up against, all these pagans. But so some of them converted. The Jews, so many of them. Paul was a Jew. They all were Jews. And so, but they converted into Christianity. But that's what they were up against, trying to tell their fellow friends and fellow neighbors, hey, you're worshiping statues that are just marble and stone and mud and clay, and get a life. This is the word that Christ came to teach, and so that's what they were trying to do. And so they were establishing hidden churches here and there, but keeping the word of God alive, doing that. So I thought I'd point that out now, because then I'll forget. Okay, that's St. Peter's, the facade. You can see where it goes into the mountain. You see, the cave is behind that. unfortunately, it's also, it was dark in there. So there were no lights or anything, and we were in a cave. So, I took pictures, and that's a statue that was found there, that was placed there probably centuries ago. Not at the time of St. Peter, I doubt it very, very much. Maybe, in the 2nd century, who knows, or the 3rd century. But that's another thing I want to say. It wasn't until Constantine was converted, and he was emperor at that time. So he gave an edict that says you are not to persecute Christians anymore. The Roman rule now is Greek. What's it? Constantine. Roman. He says from now on, it is an official religion, and it is to be respected. We respect all religions here, and so it was there until that time that the Christian apostles, still apostles, not the original ones, but others, and began to start building churches and building things like that, and they had the communities, and maybe they had little churches here and there, but now they could really go out into the open because it would be against Roman rule to punish those that desecrated. So that's what happened. Okay, so all this time they were really climbing uphill. It took 300 years. Constantine was emperor in 333 AD. So, okay, that's, this is after we came out of St. Peter's Cave. After we came out of St. Peter's Cave, we went to we got into the tour bus, and we went to Harbier, which where the museum also is at. That one that I was telling you about. And there were these beautiful waterfalls out there, and we took pictures around there, but the foliage also was so dark. The foliage was so deep, so thick that it hid a lot of the lighting, okay? But I'll show you. Okay, now I'm jumping, but there's going to be another one if it's there, and if not, it's over there where the kids and us are having a picnic lunch there at Harbier, and this is Christmas Day, okay? But you'll see it, let me see, one of these, I think it's on the other one. Yeah, anyway, I'll show it to you later. This is Cleopatra's Gate, and this is in Tarsus, where Paul was from. All of these little towns were very close to one another, okay? They weren't far. So we could take a dolmush or like a minivan, and this one particular one, because we were so many, there were 8 of us, and we took Dixie Jacoby, another instructor that was over there with us, and I think another person, I don't remember, but enough to where we did our tour of our own. You see, we went to Pergy, we went to Aspendus, we went to several other areas around there. So we went to see the Cleopatra's gate, and that's the only gate surviving to this day. And that was when she met with Mark Antony. And remember, you see the movies, and they show Mark Antony and Caesar coming and meeting her there. Well, that was in Tarsus, okay? and in order to protect themselves, their little kingdoms or whatever they had, they would build walls that were 15 feet thick, the walls, the city walls all around, and maybe 65 feet high to make sure it would be harder for the invaders to try to get in except through the gates, okay, and so forth. Well, this is the only gate, and it was also called the Iron Gate. No, there was an Iron Gate, that was one of the 4 that they had around the city. But this is the only one that has really survived, and it's Cleopatra's Gate, and of course, we were very happy to know, because, you know, we see the films, and with Cleopatra, she's world famous, and so on and so forth. So, we're all, but he was an instructor, while he was in Turkey, and then later when we went to Iran, he was an advisor to the Shah of Iran, or at the school, and then, so he had a very good position, very nice, and he liked what he was doing, and he went to Tunisia, and he went to Germany. He would have to go back and forth here and there from here. So he did a lot for good relations, you might say ambassador of goodwill, going here and there. Well, I'm saying, in fact, when we went to Turkey, we call ourselves we told the kids that we were ambassadors to show you places in Turkey. My mama came over to visit with us, and we had cried for almost a year. Mama, please come. I want to go. She said, because I want to go visit Mother Mary's house. I want to go. But she was afraid to fly. She'd flown before, but short trips, you know. She said, I don't know if going over the ocean and by myself. She said, I'm going to have to make different stops. I don't know if I can do that. So one day, Randy came over and from school and he says, Mama, make some tortillas. I sure feel like having a tortilla. And I said, honey, I don't know how to make tortillas that well. I said, I'm sorry, you know. He says, well, try. I said, okay, I tried. Well, I made 2 or 3 batches and they wound up in the trash can. They were horrible. They were just horrible, okay? I tried. And so he said, oh, Mama, why did you tell me what to teach you? And I said, why don't you sit down and write Mama a letter and tell her to get over here that you want some tortillas. I thought, bingo, that'll do it. He sat down, wrote her a letter. Mama was there within 6 weeks. Getting the passport and doing everything, She was there because this is, the boys and I and Kimberly, we want tortillas, and you're the only one that can make good tortillas. Mama's wound up in the trash can. So that's Mama, and of course she stayed with us for about a month, and we went to Aphrodisia. This was a place that they were excavating a new area because they had found ruins here and there. The archaeologists were going wild out there, you can imagine. And so you can see dirt on that side. This is a whole stadium. It's an amphitheater. And in those places where eventually the apostle, they had those already. And like St. Paul preached in Tarsus at the amphitheater there. And then, and throughout some of the different, later on, if I have another one of these presentations later, and I'm visiting Greece, because they went on to Greece and to Rome and all that. We went to Greece, to Philippi, and that St. Paul preached there too. And so they would go and hit this, just like our priests, get on the pulpit and they use amphitheaters to preach once they got hold, and sometimes at the risk of their lives, but they did preach to people that wanted to hear. And so they're cleaning out and excavating, okay? There's Mama, and that's you can imagine how tall those columns are. I mean, those things were terrifically high. They're big. And this is just one of the many ruins there in Aphrodisia. You can see there, look at that, those are ruins. All those had walls, they had roofs, and depending on what it was that they had. And I believe we're over here by the Roman baths on this area right in here. There's some more beautiful white marble. Look at Mama gets some skewered because she's so little there compared to these towers.
60 feet.
That was the trip of her lifetime, but she just couldn't get over it. Uh-huh. This is a stadium, you know, like Delphi, where the Olympics got started. Okay, there's a big stadium there in Aphrodisia, and they uncovered it. You can see how rough it is down below, but of course it took years, you know, to start cleaning out and all of that. And there's Daddy and Mama and Kimberly. And this is just one of the bridges there. I don't know, and we must have gone over it or something. This is supposed to be the Temple of Hadrian, I think, or something like that. I think we're switching here to Ephesus, because as I said, some of these things are very misplaced. And I tried to get them up, but because I have so many carousels, some of them I would lend them to the boys, and Stephen, he took them all the time to Robert E. Lee to give a few little presentations. When they'd come back, they were completely out of order, okay? And he'd mix some with the other ones, I don't know. But anyway, I think Michael,
Nope,
no,
never did.
he never did that. That's what I was gonna say. He never- Okay, now this is Ephesus, okay? And where they have the marble street in Ephesus, okay, they excavated all of that too, and they were deep into that, but when we got there, they were still working on that one. And you can see that these amphitheaters were built on the side of a mountain because they would use it to build up, using the mountain to do their seats. And usually in the front row, they had beautiful marble seats. I mean, they were all carved out, I think, where the officials, where the prominent people would sit. And they were highly polished. You could tell they were beautiful. And I remember the ones in Athens, the theater there, when we first went to see it, that was beautiful. I mean, you could see where they had front row center, you know, seats. Uh-huh. And then the rest were for the population. And this is part of the marble street going back this way, but the horses and everything would go through their chariots. And this is an Engomian, something like that, and I really don't know what it is, Trojan building. I don't know what it is, but that's one of them. And then this one was a library. They're at Ephesus also. And they had, you know, they had libraries. They had beautiful libraries. And the best one was in Alexandria, Egypt. They had the best collection of books in the world of parchments, you know, and until the Persians came in and they burned everything down. But they had collections from all over the world. The best, that was like the Library of Congress, and everybody goes there to blah, 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 okay? This was it was always known as the best library in the world at the time, in their time. You can see that's part of the marble street going. And now it's beautiful because they've cleared all that debris, you know, and you can just see it. When we were there, we saw the marble street. That's Mama, the second one from the left. And this lady here and her husband invited us, their daughter, I believe, invited us to a Christmas party at the Cordon in Izmir. And we went to a company party, Daddy's work. And they invited us and Mama, you know, because she had just come in, and they were just so nice. She says, "You come to tea at our house tomorrow," and we couldn't say no. And of course, we wouldn't have said it. We wanted to go, you know, to see what they were like, and you know, and everything. But I remember we went to their house the following day, and they received Mama very well, and all of us. We had chai and some little snacks, you know, oh, there's Daddy in the back, but this is just again. If there was so bright, I think you could really see them better, because at home I can see them a little bit better. Oh, that's me over there. And Mama over here. There's Daddy, Mama. I don't know, we're just having a good time. And she got to play the slot machines. Mama was never a gambler. We made a gambler out of her. And she says, I'll pose for one anyway. These are just store-bought, and somewhere or other I was able to purchase some of them. This is what we call an Ikipachu, the horse and buggy, like the ones we have downtown. Okay, the Ikipachu means 25 bits. In other words, 25 cents. That's how much you pay to get into one of those. Anytime you wanted to go someplace, and the kids love to take the Ikipachu. But they didn't even have that thing, that drop it, that they put it down, okay? And then sitting with the horse driver, and the horse driver, you know, would let them use the reins, and so there they go, you know, just having fun, and gave them a quarter, and, I mean, you could have a good ride for that. And this is in Izmir, and this is just another store-bought slime. I think that's it. Yeah, these are empty because I might have took it. Okay, so are there